Welcome back, subscribers, and welcome new viewers. I want to thank all of you who have liked, who subscribed to me, and send me comments. I appreciate each and every one of those because besides I love hearing from all of you and am very thankful for that. Every time you do that, like, share, or subscribe, that gets this channel out to many other souls out there who don't already know that I exist and are searching for this specific information. So thank you, each and every one of you. And today yesterday I received a viewer request, and so this is the viewer request, the first one. And today it's going to be from my Chiron book, Chiron in the 8th house, or Scorpio is what I'm going to be reading. And before that too, I want to say that if you don't already know, I receive and accept donations. I do everything on my channel for free, and I do not require, I should say, any type of certain amount of money or anything like that, because I know that we are all in different places and different financial struggles. And to me, not keeping this information from you because you don't have a certain particular amount of money to give me, no, I don't agree with that at all. This is invaluable information, this astrology, all of it. And I will never ever turn down anyone. But also, I want to let you know, those that can and choose and want to do this, who have a service or a product that you want to trade for my service, I would be absolutely tickled to do that as well. So whether you would like to donate money, and you can do that, or you have a service or a product that you would like to trade for my services, for example, a general natal wheel reading I can do, or whatever you would like. If that sounds right for you, great. I would love to do that. Send me an email. My email address is thecreativewoman369@gmail.com. So any of that. And I always put my email address in the drop-down box below in every single reading that I do. Okay, let's get started here. And again, this is Chiron in Scorpio and or the 8th house. In Scorpio, the 8th house, we seek personal transformation to overcome our separateness and become more than ourselves. We grow through our deep encounters with others and our desire to be at one with them. Here we find the powerful themes of sexuality, birth, death, loss and abandonment, emotional destructiveness, rebirth, and regeneration. Through this house and sign, we may be reborn through experiencing deep feelings from pre-verbal times that were hitherto buried, but which surface within our intimate and sexual relationships. These may resemble emotional minefields. The Chiron in Scorpio, or the 8th house, our deepest wounds are present, and our emotional lives may be fixated at an infantile stage. Thus, it is important to become familiar with the emotional life of our early instinctual self, with its extremes of rage, greed, destructive envy, love, and guilty depression, as well as its deep vitality and capacity to thrive important also to experience deeply the positive side of our emotional life and connection with others. And I feel the need to say that with it saying the infantile stage, well, you can't bring that up into your conscious awareness automatically. It doesn't come. So again, to me, for all of you who have this, besides it being essential for all of us, it's doubly essential if you want to know and gain information for yourself that you can't bring up on your own. I would be happy to take a look at your natal wheel. And again, your north and south nodes of the moon are crucial as well. So, because you might have planets that are conjuncting your north or south node of the moon, or this Chiron, or aspecting it in hard aspects, which are conjunct, square, or opposition. So, and anything else that I can't think of right now that I would need to see and would be able to see once I see your natal wheel, and give you any advice on that if you like. So again, if that sounds right for you, send me an email and I would be happy to do so. Okay. And I can also send written copies of this information that I'm reading as well for any and all of you. Anything that I read, if you'd like a written copy, let me know what, and I need it. I will send it to you in your email. So send me an email with an email address that you would like me to send and use to send back to you this stuff. Okay. With this placement, we may encounter death very early in our life. For example, in severe birth trauma, as illustrated in chapter 10, which is another chapter apparently, we may have had a life-threatening illness, lost a parent very early, or had near-death experiences. Freud believed that there were two powerful but contrary drives within us, one towards life, eros, and the other towards death, thanatos. Although this is a controversial idea, it will probably make sense to us if we have Chiron in Scorpio or the 8th house, for we are often uncomfortably aware of our own destructiveness or fascination with death. Thanatos, which is death, may sometimes feel like the stronger of the two, making us very aware of the fertility of life. Not fertility, shoot, excuse me, frailty. Frailty of life. That's funny, okay. We may then become very controlling of others to try and protect ourselves against loss and abandonment. We may also meet this in the area of money, struggling hard and perhaps failing to gain financial independence. Like any scorpionic type, however, we are adept at hiding our vulnerability and dependency behind moodiness or a facade of being powerful and inscrutable. Many people with this placement have suicidal feelings at some point in their lives, and fantasies about suicide and death frequently accompany major changes and transitions. And again, this is because, please don't feel bad, this is because Scorpio is the natural house of the 8th house. So either placement for Chiron is exactly why. And Scorpio you must go through, you must feel, you must experience the depths of all kinds of emotions and experiences, negative and positive, especially the negatives on the negative side, which is towards death and all of that. So anyway, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Okay. This can be seen as an expression of the desire to return to the source. This source with Chiron in Scorpio or the 8th house is not a rarefied and transcendent spiritual source. The desire is rather to return to the deep womb of the primordial mother. There you go. To a rich darkness and a kind of cellular consciousness from which to be reborn. A useful question to reflect on might be, what within me needs to die in order that I can be reborn? So that's what you're trying to do by going through all of these experiences, but you're going to do that anyway. So again, I have to say, you must bring that out into your conscious awareness, and the only other way that I know how to do it, well, the only way, is through your natal wheel and being able to, if you know how to look at your natal wheel, that's awesome. And if you don't, again, I can do that if you wish, if you're ready to, or whenever you're ready to. In some primitive societies, it is believed that there is only a certain quota of good in the world, and so if someone starts to outshine his peers, he is taking something away from others. Similar feelings are present in those with Chiron in Scorpio or the 8th house, who often feel inexplicably nervous and guilty at every success they achieve, and expect that disaster will follow any minute. And I have to say, my dad, who he passed away in 2010, he had Chiron in the 8th house. And so, yes, he told me about that. He would let others win because of what I just read. And I also have to say, back up where it said that some might experience death or have a parent that died early. My dad had the same thing. He had his biological dad, died when he was 4 or 5 years old in a car crash. So I didn't get to know my grandfather. Very sad about that. But anyway, so I just wanted to mention that. So I do have an understanding of Scorpio and Chiron in Scorpio in the 8th house, and my south node is Scorpio in the 8th house. So I definitely have an understanding of Scorpio. Okay, where did I end up? Let's see. Yeah. Needless to say, it often does, and a little, let me back up. I'll just reread that sentence that I read. Similar feelings are present in those with Chiron in Scorpio or the 8th house, who often feel inexplicably nervous and guilty at every success they achieve, and expect that disaster will follow any minute. That was my dad. Needless to say, it often does, and a little black humor goes a long way with this placement. We might have low self-esteem, easily feeling bad, worthless, and somehow wrong. Underneath, we perhaps fear our own potential destructiveness and develop a rigorous emotional control designed to protect others from it. I completely understand that. Personally, I understand. I don't have that anymore. But I did. I absolutely did most of my life. With this placement, our unconscious emotional destructiveness can be projected onto others. We then become rather paranoid or preoccupied with warding off the imagined or actual persecutor, trying to outwit or placate him. We might read a potential threat into situations where, in reality, although it might be there, it is not necessarily directed against us personally. We may also tend inwardly to assume blame for misunderstandings or things that go wrong with others. We can be superstitious over small things. For example, we may feel doomed to a bad day if our bus is late. All this can be described as a negative inflation where we identify with our imagined badness and may indicate deep wounds from our pre-verbal life which have not yet been allowed into consciousness. I'm going to read that sentence again. That seems very important. All this can be described as a negative inflation where we identify with our imagined badness and may indicate deep wounds from our pre-verbal life, which have not yet been allowed into consciousness. The roots of these uncomfortable feelings lie in our early relationship with mother. And I want to jump in here because it's going to show in your natal wheel. So yes, you could have this with your mother as well, but it didn't originate with your mother. Your mother, again, she's playing a role for you specifically because it's in your natal wheel. It was either passed down, it could have been passed down generationally. It doesn't have to be though. And so you could also have had a mother that died. You didn't have any mother at all, and you still have this because, again, this is astrologically, it will be shown in your natal wheel. And so you will also call to you any mother type figures to play that role for you also. And so whether it's your biological mother or not, or no, or you might not have had a mother at all, and it still is correct. Again, because it's in your natal wheel when you were born. Okay. So there's no blame. There's no blame. There's no judgment on yourself or any mother or whoever or anything. This was going to be this way because it's in your chart. Okay. I hope that's understood. Okay, so let me make sure. Okay. The roots of these uncomfortable feelings lie in our early relationship with mother. We want her, need her for survival, yet we fear her awesome power to fulfill or deprive us. We wish to devour her totally, to eat her up so that she can never leave us again. All our emotions are experienced in an all-consuming manner, whether positive or negative. These strong feelings are normally mitigated by enough good mothering, but with Chiron in Scorpio or the 8th house, they often resurface in our adult life when we strongly desire something, be it power, fame, sex, money, food, status, or whatever. We long to fuse completely with another person, become them, and be someone other than what we are. Somewhat like Chiron's mother, Philra, in the myth. If someone evokes strong feelings of love and or hate in us, we may feel ourselves to be at their mercy And by, quote, becoming them, we seek to regain some sense of power. See, those of you who relate to this, knowing this and listening to this now, you can see now where it comes from. You were born with this energy, and so this feeling, and so you now have a choice to continue doing this or not. Thus we become intensely devouring, consuming, and passionate in our relationship. We want to incorporate physically and psychically the object of our desire. One person with Chiron and Scorpio had several dreams of eating people she loved. Although we are all wounded by having to separate from our mothers, with Chiron in the 8th house and Scorpio, we may take a long time to forgive those who have wounded us. And again, I have to say, now that I'm reading this and you viewers are listening to this, it's in your chart. You were born with this astrological chart and all the energies that come with your natal wheel. This is one of the energies. So there is no blaming your mother or anything that happened to you that you received or gave. It's in your chart. And again, okay. For a lesson, for something for you to gain a positive understanding of. And once you gain that wisdom or experience, whatever that is, that positive, and you see that, then you'll be very thankful. You'll be very thankful to all involved that assisted you in this Chironic experience. Okay. I'm going to read that sentence again. Although we are all wounded by having to separate from our mothers, with Chiron in the 8th house or Scorpio, we may take a long time to forgive those who have wounded us, and we cannot fake feelings of forgiveness. We might have an uncomfortable taste for punishment and vengeance. Again, that's a Scorpio trait, which we can only grow out of by acknowledging. That's what you're doing here, listening to this information for yourself. The uncovering of this terrain was the specialty of this specific psychoanalyst. Her name was Melanie Klein. Okay, and I'm going to skip forward because that goes into her specifically and her chart. And I'm going to stay general. Again, any of you who want a copy of this, send me an email. People with this placement often benefit from rebirthing therapy, as sometimes the actual birth trauma is an important focus of woundedness and therefore also of healing. Again, Chiron is the wounded healer. You're going to be wounded first, and then, becoming consciously aware, you can heal yourself. The patterns established at birth may repeat at the beginning of every new cycle of life, as illustrated in Chapter 10, and healing may begin by their becoming conscious of what they are and releasing the emotions holding them. This is why you're listening right now, viewers. With Chiron in Scorpio or the 8th house, we know or imagine that we were not wanted. Our birth might have severely injured our mother or created financial hardship. Our mother may have unwillingly sacrificed a career in order to bear children, repressing her resentment, but making us painfully aware of it. Later, quote, leaving mother in a deeper sense, means leaving behind these negative self-concepts and reactions to life. With Chiron in Scorpio or the 8th house, we eventually need to find the good mother within ourselves, drawing on the resources of the deep psyche to find acceptance and love for ourselves and others. People with this placement often feel wounded in the area of their sexuality. Incest, child abuse, and frightening episodes of sadism, rape, and violence frequently occur in their real or fantasy life. They may both give and receive tremendous wounding and or healing through their sexual experiences. Always an area of confrontation with their deepest feelings. Again, the reason this author is saying that is because Scorpio and the natural house of Scorpio, which is the 8th house, has everything to do with sexually consummated relationships. One woman with this placement felt her partner's penis like a spear, causing not physical, but psychological pain. Another bled profusely from some untraceable vaginal wound when making love with a man with Chiron in Scorpio. A man with Chiron in Scorpio managed to keep sexual relationships with 4 or 5 women who all knew they were not the only one. He said he was, quote, determined not to be possessed by any woman. Men with this Chiron placement often experience their masculinity as having been wounded in their relationship with their mother, and may constantly seek out women more powerful than themselves. They may try to bring them down, compete with them sexually or professionally, or look up to them from a distance. However, if they can come to terms with their early feelings of powerlessness, they are very nurturing and make loving partners, fathers, therapists, or teachers as they understand what emotional suffering feels like. That's beautiful for all of you males who have this placement. That's beautiful. Men with this placement are often very charismatic, with the typical scorpionic aura of sexual promise and intense pent-up feelings. They are usually very attractive to women and not above exploiting this. That is who you truly are, men with this placement. So don't you feel bad about that either. But now you know where it comes from, or at least one of the places where it comes from in your chart, your natal wheel. With this placement, at some point, we may be confronted by our power drives, our hidden motives, and attempts to control and dominate others. Alternatively, we could find ourselves in situations of powerlessness, containing typically scorpionic ingredients: love triangles, jealousy, and unconscious power struggles. Again, that's all scorpionic. So you're going to experience those things. Absolutely. Any planet you have in Scorpio, I want to say, and or your north or south node of the moon. Learning about power, its use and abuse, is often a feature of the life journey of those with Chiron and Scorpio or the eighth house. More than we realize, we could have charisma, sexual magnetism, and the ability to influence people deeply through both our words and our powerful emotions. And that is something you can be proud of once you have mastered that and worked through your whatever personal work, your north and south nodes of the moon, this Chiron. Absolutely, that becomes a specialty, a gift of yours, a gift. This can be abused where there are unconscious infantile patterns at work, or indeed if we pretend it's not there. Like I said, again, after you've worked out your personal stuff, chironically, south nodally. For example, a woman with Chiron in Scorpio felt wounded when she inherited a considerable amount of money. And that's an eighth house issue. Okay, and I won't read any more because, again, they're going specific. Yeah, okay. The paths of those with Chiron and Scorpio or the eighth house may take them into the heart of darkness. That is absolutely true. And you have to open up that darkness and see what's in there before you can go to the light. That's just the way it is. And Scorpio especially is going to be forced to experience the darkness first. But that's how you gain that depth of understanding and that ability then, personally, to then, after you're finished and completed that, to assist others. Very beautiful, all of you. And I understand that personally. For they experience things deeply, and to outsiders might seem to dwell unnecessarily on the negative and morbid aspects of life. However, we must respect this, as we may lose their friendship if we interfere. Well-meant attempts to cheer them up may provoke outbursts of rage or rejection. With Chiron in Scorpio or the eighth house, our journey usually includes a confrontation with death or the experience of emotional and mental dismemberment. However, if we can also recognize the transpersonal elements in our experience, they can lead us to inner security and regeneration. We may be reborn with trust in life, compassion, and depth of personality. Find the baby, as my dear friend coined the phrase. Find the baby when you are able to. All of you with this placement, and anyone in any negative experience, there is something positive to find, something that you can gain and bring out in that negative experience, something positive. Once you find that, facts change feelings, and you are on your way, and you can put that negative experience in its place and be very, very thankful. You will be automatically, because you will see what you gained from that, and that you wouldn't have been able to gain whatever you did without that experience. With this Chiron placement, we perhaps also must let go of our preoccupation with our suffering. This is key for all of you. Let me read that again. With this Chiron placement, we perhaps also must let go of our preoccupation with our suffering and our dark moods. Our difficulty may be in allowing joy. Again, our difficulty may be in allowing joy, hope, and other positive experiences to touch us. This pain may be less bearable for us than the familiar pain of our suffering. Let me read that one more time. This pain may be less bearable for us than the familiar pain of our suffering. And they're talking about, if you don't understand that, I just feel the need to say this in plain English for those of you that need to hear this. It may be more painful for you to let go of your pain and suffering and go into that new path of joy and hope and positive experiences than it is. So it may be harder for you to go into your positive experiences as unbelievably that might sound. And don't feel bad, because you have Scorpio in this Chiron in this placement. So it's going to be more difficult for you to be happy, be joyful, and look on the positive side and move forward positively and experience positive experiences than it is to continue to look at the negative and the negative experiences you've had and dwell on that. So you do that as long as you see or feel necessary. That's what you're going to do anyway. So don't feel bad about that. When you're ready, you will move forward. And it's telling you this, and maybe some of you just needed to hear that and where that comes from so that you can leave that, is what I'm getting as well. So that's tremendous. Because I'm sensing a lot of you will be, oh, okay. And you'll then leave that pain behind. It's like permission. It's beautiful. With Chiron and Scorpio, or the 8th house, let me see where I'm at here, because I know I'm going longer than usual. Okay. With Chiron and Scorpio, or the 8th house, we see beneath the surface of life into the darkness, which most people try to ignore. If we are also by nature full of sweetness and light, this is a burden, but we cannot avoid it. We may even feel our dark vision to be a punishment or a sickness, but it is really neither. Chiron in Scorpio, or the 8th house, brings the possibility of a deep acceptance of the dark side of life without identifying with it or trying to change it. We are asked to encompass our own emotional depths and a wide range of positive and negative feelings. We may begin to feel more at home in life after confronting death consciously in some way. We perhaps need also to learn not to discredit or scorn the vision of others who may be more light-hearted than ourselves. People with Chiron and Scorpio, or the 8th house, often have a powerful presence, and others often instinctively trust them, sensing their emotional depth and familiarity with inner suffering. As healers, they may be able to reach people who are trapped in pain and darkness, for knowledge and experience of this area are their gifts. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, that's all I have for you today. So until next time.